Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Yeah! Welcome to another episode of Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view. Hey, we've got a great show today. We're going to be talking about Biden's mask mandate. And we'll talk about, is this constitutional? Will it hold up to muster? We'll talk about that. And plus, we'll talk a little more about some of the stuff that we left in Afghanistan. It's just totally amazing how we're just, we left all of the stuff and we're still sending more money over there. So let's go over here and let's bring up my co-host, the diminutive, all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, Art,
Lloyd.
how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. It's been we had a good show yesterday. I think we covered a lot of stuff. We left a lot of stuff for today.
Mhm.
But, I think it was a good show. I think, it's kind of, it was, I was watching the replay of the 9/11 memorial service yesterday that they did.
Right.
And, my cousin wrote me, and I won't use the expletives he used, but basically it was kind of sickening to see three pairs of dimwits in attendance rather than, a couple of the decent ones. I saw a little bit of George W.'s comments. I can't remember where he was at now, but
I think he was at Shanksville.
Yeah, I think he was at Shanksville, and I saw a little bit of Donald Trump, President Trump, talking to the NYPD
Right.
yesterday. But it's the only thing I can say is Joe learned from his mistakes after they brought back the military who passed away. He kept his arms crossed so he could acted like he was, in somber reflection instead of looking at his watch, which is probably what he was really doing. But at least he made it look like he was not, just going, "Oh, is this over yet?"
Well,
Oh,
plus, it disturbed me when you see a politician with their arms like that. That's kind of a negative body language.
it is.
Like
that is
is
negative.
Is this damn thing over yet?
Yeah, well, it's. I think if I remember my psychology classes from back in the dark ages, my teacher was Sigmund Freud, or his son. I'm not sure which, but anyway. But it
Oh, was that
shows,
Simon Freud?
yeah, Simon Freud. Yeah,
Simon.
exactly. But anyways, in the ancient days when I went to school, that was considered an aggressive point or an aggressive stance, or not necessarily aggressive, but a defensive stance. In other words, argumentative. They were, and I think he was just doing that so he could keep an eye on his watch. I don't think he's smart enough to know what the body language said. So,
Yes. And I learned about
that guy has more smarts.
Right.
Yeah.
I took psychology back in the 80s,
Right.
many moons ago, and that's how I learned about body language, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why you never see me do that anymore,
Right,
because
right.
I realize that
It is
that has
it's
a negative
negative connotation.
connotation.
Yeah, it's a defensive. It's considered a defensive posture because they're keeping everything close to their chest. You know, you hear the
Mm,
term "keeping it close to your chest." Well,
right.
that's what that means. They're
Mm-hmm.
huddling for the defense, ready to, you know, uh, take a stance, to argue
Mm-hmm.
against whatever's going on, and that's kind of what he showed
Or
yesterday.
it's freaking cold in here.
Yes, yeah. If you live in Colorado or Minnesota or
Mhm.
Minot, North Dakota, yeah,
Right.
everybody stands like that. I remember I'd get ready for I lived in Grand Junction, and during the wintertime, I my we swapped out driving. My next door neighbor and I did, and a bunch of us all piled into the vehicles, and we all picked each other up rather than ride the bus.
Right.
Well, he had this old '62. Uh, uh, it was put out by an International Scout. And those things have
Oh
zero
yes.
insulation in them.
Oh.
And oh, it looked sharp on the outside, but it was cold. This is in the days of 8 tracks. 8 tracks do
Yep.
not react well to to the cold. They'll snap.
Right.
So my job was he usually was late coming, so I'd go out there. He'd give me the keys. I'd start up his Scout, and I'd sit out there. My job was to take those 8 tracks and stick them up under my armpits and get them all good and warmed up. So when we put them in, they wouldn't snap. That was my
Right.
job every morning. Just stick it in
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm-hmm.
and uh,
Did that
that
make him sound better?
No, they were still most of those songs were still the Pits.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Oh, and don't you love it when right in the middle of the song you hear click click?
Yep, 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 yeah.
It's weird.
Or
There are some. Here we are off on another tangent.
yeah,
I'll
yeah. I
listen
know.
to
Sorry.
a song on the radio by Pink Floyd, and I'm like expecting to hear that click click, and then
Click,
goes
click. Yeah,
right
yeah.
in the
As
middle
it
of a
comes across,
song.
yeah, right. As it comes across that blank spot. Yeah, that's
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I had a eight
Or
track of Dark Side of the Moon.
right, right. Or you get, it's playing along just fine, going to zippity boo, and then all of a sudden it says, stars slowing down.
Yeah.
I go, for God's sake, reach over and smack the thing again and get it started, and yeah.
All
But
right,
that's
let's
what
get
body
back
language is.
to
That's what body language is about. Yeah.
body language. Okay. Uh, did you listen to Biden's speech about the mask mandates that he wants to put on companies with 100
I
employees or more?
100 employees or more. Yeah, I caught snippets of it, but I didn't. Just what people is.
Did, did it sound like he was angry?
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. He's mad about something.
Yeah, I mean, the last several of his speeches, they sounded defensive and angry. Hello, Drone Life RC and Mike, GFO Drone and Tech Guy. Good to see you.
Yeah. I think probably because he got woke up from his nap to go do the press conferences.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh,
I
and how
know I'm
about
cranky when
the press conference when someone asked Saki a question, she just got up and left.
she just left. Yeah, yeah. They were. I can't remember what that particular one was, but yeah. Uh, yeah. He. Like I said, I didn't catch all of it, but I caught the gist of it. Enough
Mhm.
that I think. My first thoughts were that it's going to go to the Supreme Court before. You know,
Yeah, I
and
think so.
because they're talking about. I've seen so. Okay, I took the shot, so I'm pro
Mm,
shot, but I'm
right.
also pro choice. something
Yeah.
we don't hear nothing about. Now, this is in relation to the shots. This isn't in
Mm-hmm.
relation to uh, uh,
Yeah, my body,
abortion. Yeah,
my
yeah. That whole "my body, my choice" thing has kind of
yeah.
gone out the window. It's
Whatever happened
okay,
to that? Yeah, it just kind of
and
it.
and that he likes to refer to those people that don't take the shots as killers, but yet it's okay for them to kill thousands
The
of unborn a
unborn,
year. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know,
So true.
it's like the Democrats. They were against the Equal Rights Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
then
right. My doesn't fit their agenda. Hello,
that's
Robert
right.
Glazer. Good to see you.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't fit their agenda.
And did you notice it takes all the air away from Afghanistan? What's going
That's
on over there?
well, and I think that's it. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point. He's just trying to turn away. You know, uh, it comes down to the king has no clothes. You know,
Right.
or the emperor has no clothes. I guess is the
Yeah,
way.
the emperor.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the emperor. So, and yeah, he's trying to divert Afghanistan. I think I think him even being at the 9/11 memorial yesterday, him and uh
Obama.
I could Obama, yeah. Obama is what I was going to call him. But anyways, I think both of them, that was just a slap in the face of those who died there. I think it was an
Right.
insult.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and I think that Clinton being there, I could have seen Clinton and George W. because
Mm-hmm.
although Clinton, is responsible in essence by stripping down his intelligence agencies and stuff like he
Right.
did, you know, and I think that's uh uh
And don't
I think
forget the cruise missiles that blew up the aspirin factory.
oh yeah, we can't forget that.
Yeah.
Is it because Democrats just got a piss poor aim, or is it because they got they got the most ignorant intelligence groups? Truly scares the
Mm-hmm.
Afghan people coming in. They've got some privates checking their documents, not even intelligence personnel. Exactly, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing in these refugees,
Mm-hmm.
uh, from from the country
Afghanistan,
that it,
those were
from yeah.
people that helped our military or or NGOs over there.
Well, that's true. That's who they're supposed to be. But do we know? You know,
Yeah, that's
and I think what they're doing is they're landing them in Qatar or Qatar, however you spell it, uh,
right,
or however you say it. I mean, uh, and they're vetting them there. And if they're
right,
smart, that's what they're doing. They're vetting them before they bring them in the country. Because I think they've already caught a couple, two or three that
right,
shouldn't have been on that plane. On those
right.
first couple of planes, and so they're turning some people back, uh,
Hmm.
or they're letting them loose and letting Cutter deal with it. But yeah, for Joe Biden to be there, especially, and Obama, but mainly Joe Biden, I thought that was the
Yeah.
biggest slap in the face to that memorial because you
Well,
know,
and Obama. Remember, Obama's the one that traded those Afghan generals for Bo Bergdahl, who are now on the ruling council in Afghanistan.
yeah,
Amazing.
that was the question. Pataki or whatever her name was. Uh, That's the one she walked out on when they asked why is it the leader of one of the leaders of their country has got a $1 million bounty on his head or
Yeah.
$100,000 bounty on his head, and yet we're negotiating with these people. What do you have to say about that? And she just walked off. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because they can't answer it. You're right. You don't trust half the people they had helping us over there, and
Yeah.
I can understand that. I mean, I've uh, it's one of those. I was caught up in the late '70s, early '80s in a lot of those geopolitical struggles that we had going on around the world, the ones that the ones that were unofficial and undeclared and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And we got sent to those places because we were supporting this group or that. To be honest with you, there were a couple of times I went into country and I'd have to ask my now are these guys on our side or let's see, which ones are we working with this week? Because just crossing a border from one direction to the other could change the whole outlook of who you were working with. You know,
Yeah.
and that's the way it was. I mean, that's in Afghanistan. I think uh, I know we are going to have to go back. I mean, I don't think anybody doubts
I
that.
think you're right. I think
And
you're
but
absolutely right.
I think this time, uh, you know, we should go through the ones that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
Check out, get the ones out that really want to be out, that deserve to be here, the ones who helped us, the ones we can
Right.
trust, the ones we know, the
Mm-hmm.
Americans that have been left behind. You know, and then I think
Mm-hmm.
we should carpet bomb the hell out of that place and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Oh,
wipe it off the face of
just
that. Blow them back into the Stone Age. Not that they're that
yeah,
far from it.
yeah. I was watching a video just prior to the show where Laura Logan was being interviewed on Fox News
Yeah,
and
yeah.
telling us about all the equipment that we left in Afghanistan and how the Pakistanis are even pressuring us to give them money. And
Well,
we got some material in Uzbekistan,
exactly,
and
Robert.
we're uh, we're about to send those over into Afghanistan. Hand those over. And
Yeah.
this is something that I just found out. Some of those equipment that all you have to do is send out a certain code, and that'll disable those equipment. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
And that stuff is falling into the hands of the Chinese and the Russians. And what are they going to do? They're going to do reverse engineering. They're going to know how our crap works.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We are going to have to completely redo our security codes and we're going to have to go
Right.
from top to bottom all of our equipment because they could disable our equipment.
Yeah.
Once they reverse engineer it, they'll know a way to disable our equipment. I mean, we've just created the deadliest, most armed militant, Islamic extremist militant group in the world. And that's why that's in some ways why Pakistan is they're getting a little uh they're getting a little concerned because they put up with the Taliban, but they don't want them ruling their country.
Right. Right.
So
Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, Pakistan has nukes now.
yeah, they do. Hey, hang on a second. I need to go check on Judy. Something's going on in there, so let me go
Okay.
real quick,
All right.
and I'll
Bump
be
you
right
out.
back. I'll be
Okay.
listening, but I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. We'll bring Lloyd back in a few minutes, and that's what's going on over there. This could really uh, change the balance of power in the Middle East, and this is what perplexes me about Trump. Yeah, Trump he's an ass. He really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and uh, he really turned away a lot of uh, white suburban soccer moms did not vote for him, and that's what changed everything. You know, and they just those people didn't see the big picture of what the consequences of having Joe Biden as president. And now last Friday was the last day of the sit on your ass bonus money that the federal government was giving to unemployed people to sit on their ass. So that went away. So now newspapers like the Washington Post are making it sound like, oh, these people are unexpectedly losing $350 a week for unemployment. And it's like, how is that abrupt? These people knew about this for weeks, that this was going to happen in September, that those funds were going to end. And a lot of people are going to say, no, 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 this is supposed to end in October. But because of Congress, they ended it in September, but they just couldn't retroactively rewrite the term, the bill. So, and so it ended, and we shall see in the next few weeks if unemployment starts heading down, or will it just stay the same, where people will just say, you know what, screw it, I'm not going back to work, I'm not even going to look. So, and that's part of the reason why unemployment did dip just a little bit last month. But lost my train of thought. Yeah, Robert, you're right. Trump is Trump. Don't kick ass. You don't kick ass. Yep, that's right. Alrighty, so let's bring back my partner in crime, Lloyd Mendenhall. Welcome back, Lloyd.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I think, a good part of that, the unemployment was, people, I mean, there's signs up everywhere. If people want to work, they can work.
Right.
There's jobs,
Mm-hmm.
Some of them could
That's,
go right back to where they were working at in the first place, unless
oh,
those companies shut
and
down.
not only that, but they're paying more money.
Yeah, they're paying bonuses a lot of
Yep.
times. It's just
Yep.
people have gotten in this, this is the problem when you start giving away. I watched a guy that's doing a series. It was on the Amish, and those people were ticked off the fact that because they have to pay taxes and all this, and they were being sent this money, and they didn't want it because their beliefs are you don't get paid unless you work. You
Right.
don't, so they, some of, and it goes through different levels of the different types of the Amish and or Mennonite, or
Mm-hmm.
what they call the Mennonites got a different name, a Blessy Amish or something like that. And
Right.
but the they don't believe in taking something, they pay to the government, is as the good book says, you know
Right.
gi- give unto Rome what is Rome's, or give
Yeah.
unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and
Yep.
so they
Mm-hmm.
pay their taxes. But
And
now
their
they were getting this.
book app is really good.
But they yeah they pay their taxes, but they were being sent this $2,400 a month or whatever, because they
Mm-hmm.
were getting paid so much per kid and all this stuff.
Right.
The money was being deposited in their bank accounts, because they do business like everybody else, but they were giving it away. They were giving it to uh, uh, charitable, you know,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want it, and they
Mm-hmm.
felt that it was ill-gotten gains to take it, you know.
Right.
And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them are in their own. They run their own businesses. They have their own, But and so there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. They didn't like getting the free money and stuff unless you
Mm-hmm.
worked for it, and that's and that's what's happened. The Democrats have figured out that if you give people money, and then that's a way to destroy the economy.
Mm-hmm. And
Uh,
that's why I'm worried. I'm worried that unemployment will still stay high, and a lot of these companies they're even though they're paying more money for workers, they don't have enough workers. They'll eventually go out of business, and
Yeah,
it's going to start a recession down the road.
one of the principles of business is, you know, for example, let's say you start a pizzeria. I'm going to use that as an example because I know something about that. All right. So your whole purpose, your whole idea of opening up a pizzeria is not to make a soggy pizza, not to make a hard pizza, but not just to make pizza, but it's a place, because you can go buy one and pop it in your freezer, take it out, thaw it out, put it in the oven, and you don't even have to go to. Reason you go to pizza shops is because of the convenience, and some of these are set up so that you can go in and have a nice meal. There's entertainment or whatever. It's a fun place to gather. Okay, but making one pizzeria and not having a plan for expansion will
Mm,
kill the business because eventually you'll become so popular. Now people are standing in line and they're lined up out the doors and around the corners. They're going to get tired of, well, no, let's not go there because we had to stand in line an hour last time. So they don't go. So one person, two person, three people don't show up. Then the
right.
next week, 4 or 5
Mm,
and 6. And then pretty soon you're out, you're no longer getting, because you still make the best pizza in town. You still have the best place and cleanest place to eat. You still have the most enjoyable place to eat, but nobody wants to wait in line because you didn't plan to expand. Well, they're in the same predicament, but this time it's a government made shortage
right.
in which they're,
Hmm.
the people that are working there are putting in too many hours. They're getting tired. They're going to get cranky. They're going to get fed up. They're going to start telling off the customers. Let's not go to that place. They didn't have enough waitresses there, and the ones they did have were just the business will eventually lose and shut down. I mean,
Hmm.
that's a
Oh, I've
so
heard of stories where uh, restaurants they closed for a day because they didn't have enough workers.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody
and
went out to lunch, after work, went to the place is closed because there's not enough staff.
not enough
So,
staff. Exactly,
hmm,
and you can't work them 24/7. Well, you could, but you know
yeah,
that's going to create a bigger problem. As I said, the staff's going to get
hmm,
tired, mistakes are going to be made, they're going to get sloppy, the
right.
cleaning's not, they're after the end of the day they clean the restaurant, they're not going to clean as well. It's a cascading
It's
effect, and
Yep,
it all
that's
comes
right.
from the government handing out all this free money to people instead
Hmm.
of forcing them. Here in Oklahoma, we've done away with that. We quit taking that. We turned our money back that we got,
Right,
and you know, and we're our unemployment levels are dropping now because
right,
people are figuring out, hey, they still got to go to work,
right.
and if they want to go out for pizza after work, they better darn sure have a job that they can do it with because they're not going to get paid for sitting at home. If they want to eat pizza,
That's
uh,
right.
they're going
That's
to have
right.
to have money to pay for that pizza, and you only get that in Oklahoma by uh uh yeah by working.
Yeah,
Yeah,
by
there we go.
working. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there you
went
go.
down and looked and saw my. Uh, I've had to reroute some things because
Mm.
my secondary monitor that I used went out. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, it died. It was like from 2009. It was an early
oh,
LED monitor, and
yeah.
I mean my main monitor is right in front of me. It's
Hmm.
a new one. It's an Alienware. So, but I had to reroute some of the plugins, and I
Right.
added in this new Wi-Fi system, and it has a different plug. So I've now got my Alexa plugged into. Oh, she's going to answer now. Anyway, she's plugged into this switch that I use for my light, so it shuts it on and off. Whenever I
uh,
get through here, I shut my light off because I don't have enough plugins elsewhere.
Now, getting back to
Yeah,
stimulus, did you know now that the federal government's not giving stimulus, states are now doing it? Only a handful of states that decide to keep the money,
right.
they're going to have their own stimulus.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
example, here in Colorado, Uh, Anybody who collected unemployment between March of 2020 and October of 2020 will get a check of $375.
A single
Florida
check,
is
it,
$1,000.
just
Each
a
state
single,
is different.
yeah, just a single bonus check.
I believe so.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll be getting one because I was
Well,
unemployed for a short while back in
right, right. I
2020.
mean, hey, when COVID first hit and everything just shut down, you know,
Mhm.
there were a lot of people in a lot of hurt. But once once we hit that plateau and it started dropping again, you know, we started opening back up, and but then this administration decided that wasn't good enough, so everybody needs to stay at home. Everybody, or your state government, your local government, such as the Colorado government, which is far leaning left liberal socialist. And
Mhm.
I mean, I'm glad that I live in a red state. I'm glad that I
Mhm.
live in although our governor's a bit, sometimes I wonder about him. He's not well liked by
Yeah.
either side right now, because he's doing some, you know, he's really trying to cut. He's really trying to cut a lot of programs that really need to be cut, but it's hurting. It's hurting certain, yeah, a lot of people, and a lot of people
Right.
are calling their local state senator or
Yep.
state house rep,
Represented.
and
Yep. Yep.
yeah, and they're giving them an earful, and these guys are saying, "Hey, we can't do this." And of course, the press is doing
Mhm.
their part to fan the flames, and
Right.
uh,
Mhm.
you know
Right now,
he
here in Colorado, we're going through the redistricting and reapportionment, and so we're having these local talks where they get to listen to the people, how
right,
what their feelings are on the maps. And I looked at the latest maps, and it's like, holy cow, it really switched, because originally in the first map they had Pueblo going to the fourth district, and it would
right,
make the third district a little more conservative, and uh, District 7, where I am, it looked like it was going to be a red district. Now it looks like it's going to be status quo. So
yeah,
Perlmutter
yeah.
might be holding on to a seat. So I think it's the unaffiliates are caving in to the Democrats. Democrats were screaming like little children, and the unaffiliates are like, oh boy, we don't want to make them mad. We gotta make
Well,
everybody
and that's been the problem with the that's the problem with independents or unaffiliated, and that's also the problem, because in reality, most of us are probably somewhere, we're probably in the middle, either right
right,
of, medium
right
right
of
of center, or
center, a
medium left,
little
yeah,
left of
left
center.
center,
Yeah.
because I know that there's things that I don't agree with, that, that are considered conservative, that you might think are liberal, and there's, just the, because there's like three or four types of conservatism. There's like social conservatives. There's
Fiscal.
fiscal conservatives, constitutional conservatives.
Right.
Uh, those are three, and the average guy sitting at home like you and I, or the average guy working, you know, we fall somewhere. We're probably all a
Closer
little
to
bit of all
center.
of those. Yeah,
Right.
but we're closer to center on some than we are on others, and uh, it's there's not, we and of course, and we shouldn't have far right conservatives, because then we have nationalism, and we know what that's like. Nor should we have far left liberalism, because then we have socialism and communism. We know what that's
Mhm.
like. So but what gets reported is the left socialist point of view, you know.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
these unaffiliated,
Republican bad. We cannot.
yeah.
They're
You know,
evil
well, I think Richard Nixon probably
and they're
didn't help our
racist.
cause. Yeah, well, Richard Nixon didn't help our cause. He just,
I
you know,
am monochrome.
not a crook. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, it is what it is. But yeah, this idea of getting paid for sitting on your backside and not doing
Mhm.
anything for it, uh and here's another thing, they like to throw out the social security, it's, well, you're getting paid for it. No, social security I paid into,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
You pay into social security, and had they not robbed it, the Democrats,
Mhm.
social security would be solvent until the
Yeah,
next two
that's right.
generations would be dead.
That
uh
all started in the late '60s or early '70s when
Early
they
70s, yeah.
changed the Social Security, because originally Social Security was a separate entity from.
Yes.
And then they decide, no, we're going to move it into a general fund, and then that way, the deficit looks smaller when we do it that way.
Right, right.
Instead, we're spending, our grandparents' money, and we're getting to a point where now I'm hearing that Social Security is going to go broke sometime in the 2030s.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not far off. We're talking 9
Yeah,
years
that's.
away,
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now. And
Yeah.
uh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's getting worse, because we got a government, or an administration, that's printing out money faster than toilet paper.
They're printing out more money. They're coming up with more programs. We got so many programs. A lot of it is redundant.
Yes.
That's where the problem is. If we went in and cut out all the redundant programs, that would just really solve a lot of problems.
Well, and the reason they don't do that is because they don't want to bump up the unemployment rate another 10%, because when we fire all those bums that are working out there, those lifelong government workers that have been, my job is to count rubber bands. I get paid $75,000 a year to count rubber bands. That's all I do. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that part of the general service fund? Oh, no, no. We're a special branch of rubber band counters.
Mhm.
And it's crap
Yep.
like that is such waste, you know. And
And those are people that could be working in the private sector that could be actually productive.
yeah,
You
actually
know.
contributing, they wouldn't be, they wouldn't be
Hmm.
getting these ridiculous. I mean, well, here's another example. The money we spend on our former congressmen, our former senators, you know, let's say 4 or 6 years in the military.
Hmm.
You can go to the VA hospital, and in my day, you had health care for life if you went it. But now they took that away years ago. Now it's, you got to qualify,
Oh
to get it
boy.
for free, or
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay a percentage of it. You have to either be poor, if you have good insurance, and you go to the VA hospital, they're going to charge your insurance. Every time I go in, they don't bill it, because I'm 100%, so, and I'm service connected, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but to anybody else, a lot of the vets, they have to, and that's why, and it's terrible health care to begin with. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it's,
Oh, Lloyd, that's not a big secret. I heard about this from my grandfather. My
oh yeah,
grandfather telling my dad, whatever you do, uh, do not go to a VA hospital, because
yeah,
a lot of those doctors or doctors, they couldn't cut it
couldn't
in
cut it in
general
the
practice.
general
So
practice,
they
and
went
that's
in the
usually the case.
military and they got got an assignment in a hospital, and
Well,
these
a
were
lot of
like
them
second-rate doctors.
nowadays they're civilian doctors. They're not. They never went in the military. They're civilian doctors. Uh, we have one. We have one that he 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 blatantly killed a person. I mean, it was malpractice, but because he was in the VA hospital, he was protected. Even though the nurse told him, no, you don't give him 40 times the amount of sodium pentothal that you would for, or whatever it was, the knockout
Right,
gas, and he killed the guy, and had it been he would have gone to jail for negligent homicide
right.
had he been a civilian, but because he worked for the government, he was protected. And but yet we got congressmen, and this is something that has always chapped me. We got congressmen, they serve 2 years. They've got great health care. They get a retirement check every month.
Right?
They get what and a large. I mean, I don't remember seeing Nancy Pelosi over there in Vietnam fighting in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know, Chuck Schumer, I
Oh,
don't know what he was doing. Our own illustrious president, the former senator from Delaware, uh, you know, he never went in,
nope, nope.
you know,
I think
and
he's got in politics back in the, when was it? The early 70s. So he's been
oh, it's
around
50
for
years ago. Yeah. So
50
yeah,
years. Yeah.
yeah, 50 years he's been in politics. So he, he's, he was going to college before that. So he had his college deferment. And probably by the time he got around to it, he was it was getting close to the end of the war and the end of the draft, and they weren't taking as many. They still had their draft lotteries,
Mm-hmm.
and but it was just the fact that that's money wasted on these congressmen, because some of these
Mm-hmm.
congressmen, like, uh for them to get, and they get better health care than the veterans.
Yep.
The veterans sign that contract with America saying that they will give service above and beyond, including death, for the
Right.
protection of this country. But
Mm-hmm.
yet we don't get the health care. But yet somebody like AOC that's basically sits up there and runs her mouth, doesn't do anything but run her
Mm-hmm.
mouth. I don't even know if she's ever had one of her bills passed yet, or if she's even introduced any bills,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Who
if she has,
knows?
I don't think one of them has passed yet. So
Mm-hmm.
she sat there for what, 6 years now or so?
Right.
4 years, 6 years, however long she's been there. I think she's been there
I
since
think she's only been in a couple terms right now, if
a couple terms.
one. Yep.
Yeah, Biden
Yeah,
will get
you're right, Robert. He is. Yeah.
he gets retirement for being a senator. He
Mm-hmm.
gets retirement for being a VP, and now he'll get
Mm-hmm.
retirement for being a president. And he gets
Right.
three separate. And
Mm-hmm.
some of these guys that like HW, George HW, he got retirement for being a governor. He got no, was he governor? But he was part of the CIA, so he got that
That's.
retirement. He got
Mhm.
retirement for being in the military. He got, yeah, he got uh, George
Yeah, he
H.W.
was
got
vice
retired for being
president
vice
and he was
president and
president.
president. Yeah,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and plus he was a member of he was a member of Congress, wasn't he? Or was he?
I. Well,
Or the
you know
Senate?
what? I'll have to.
I can't remember. I know there was one that got like 5 or 6 retirement bonuses based on, and if they're two-term president, they get more. Each term adds an extra little bit. If they're a two-term vice president, so
Mm-hmm.
Biden's going to get, we know he's not going to be a two-term president. Even he knows that. But
Mm-hmm.
unless they embalm him and put him in a chair, or they give
Right.
somebody like what
You know, like
what was that? Like Richard
Stalin.
Dreyfuss played the part. I'm thinking of Richard Dreyfuss played the part of the Latino country uh, dictator, you know, and the guy was
Oh,
actually dead, but Richard Dreyfuss puts on the makeup and he portrays the guy. They might get somebody like that for Joe Biden, you know.
Hmm. Oh, George H.W. was in the House of Representatives.
So he got something for the House. He got something
Yep.
for being the CIA. He got two. He got double the pay as
Director of the CIA.
director of the CIA. So he gets that. Plus he gets for the 2 terms of vice president. Plus, hello Chris, how you doing? And plus the
Oh, he
1
was
term as
also
president.
U.S. liaison for China.
Yeah, there you go. So all of those little things add up to points towards their retirement, and he was living pretty high on the hog, you know.
Hmm.
So he was doing well, and
Yep.
I think this kind of I think
Oh, and he was ambassador of the United Nations.
there you go. So all of that
Hmm.
goes towards points of his retirement and how he gets paid, and he
Hmm.
was probably one of the most highly paid former presidents that we had. Had he served 2 terms, well, then he would have been the highest
Yep.
paid
Yeah.
at the time. And I just think we're wasting money with these congressmen getting, they get in for 2 years and then they get free health care for life and they get, but
Yeah.
our own
Right.
military doesn't get that. That's a crock.
Yep.
And
It is.
this
And
government just makes it worse. This
and
administration just making it worse.
the Bush family, they go way back. You remember Prescott Bush? Senator from Connecticut.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
That was
I
back
do.
in the day when Connecticut was a Republican state.
Republican
This was
state. Yeah.
like uh, around World War II, just prior to World War II. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's, uh, our administration and, getting back to what some of the waste, talking about the waste. Well, look at the waste of leaving all that equipment over there. That's just, trying to get back on topic again.
That's right, Robert. Trump did not take a
He did
paycheck
not.
once,
That's right. He didn't.
but he does qualify for all the other. He gets Secret Service for life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he
And
gets health care, and
yeah, but he
I
only gets
believe he
paid his
does get pension, unless he takes that pension and donates that
donates
to.
it. Yeah. I don't know what he's doing with his pension, but yes, he qualifies for the pension, the secret, and I can understand the Secret Service in a way, uh, because for whatever reason, we tend to revere our former presidents,
Mhm.
uh, even the ones that don't deserve it. I mean, sometimes we look at him and we think, "Good God, he hasn't aged well,"
Yeah,
boy. But we still, and it's getting harder and harder to show respect for our former presidents because the ones we've had over the last, well, since the 90s have
right.
not been worth having,
Well, how
except
about Artie?
George W. Well, yeah, Jimmy Carter. So yeah, we're going back to the 70s. I
Yep.
keep forgetting he's still kicking.
Yep.
Uh,
Hmm.
but and I had more respect for Jimmy Carter as a former
As a
president and the stuff of the stuff he did after he got out.
Yeah. Yep.
Until the last 10 years or so, and then he's
Right.
you know sorry, he's getting a little senile and a little long in the tooth, and he needs to just stay at home and count his peanuts.
Right. Hmm.
And I mean, but you know, George W. I for whatever reason, I think the family strayed a little bit, and I think
Yeah.
they were mad
Hmm.
about and I hold the Bushes responsible for some of the anti-Trump sentiments out there. I
Yep.
truly do.
Yep.
They should
I
have
agree with you.
they
Yep.
should have got behind him. They should have said, "Okay, maybe next time," you know,
Hmm.
and
Right.
to continue try. They just just like George W. went into Iraq to finish it. He wanted to do it for Daddy, you know.
Hmm.
Saddam Hussein may have been a tyrant and a terrible person, but at least he kept that from being a vacuum,
Yep.
of
Hmm.
religious extremist, which is where ISIS ended up, and yeah, I agree. I don't like how they trash him either.
Yep.
Uh, excuse me.
Yeah, and even some of them joined this organization called the Lincoln Project, which was started by a Democrat and never Trumper. And then it turned out later, after Trump lost, turned out a lot of those guys were pedophiles.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. It's I think I, I thought that when George W. left office, when he first left, he didn't say anything. The most
Hmm.
you heard about him was when he was on uh,
Talk shows.
uh well, no, he wasn't on talking. He was on, President Bush was on the Chip and Joanne Gaines, their home improve
Oh,
or home remodeling show or whatever it was.
right.
They
Hmm.
were on there he was on there for that, and that's okay. That I like seeing him doing that. He's down in Texas. He's doing his thing, but he was staying out of politics. He should have stayed
Right.
out of it. You know,
Hmm.
but when he finally starts talking, what really infuriated me, and he lost my respect, and that was when he started going against Trump because
Hmm.
his brother did. His brother was supposed to have been there before him.
Hmm.
Jeb was setting himself up. George was still playing ball with the Texas Rangers. Well, he wasn't playing
Hmm.
ball, but he he was too busy over there. And he wasn't really amounting to anything. And
Hmm.
and I think had 9/11 not happened, I think he would have been a one-term president
No.
because up to that point he hadn't showed anything. Everything he did was
Well, you got to
lackluster.
remember 9/11 happened not long after, it wasn't even a year into his first term.
Well, I know, but in the first 9 months, he had a pretty lackluster. He didn't have a lot of support. We just come out of the hanging Chad situation.
Right?
That first 9 months of his presidency was just
Yeah, it was.
it was
And
just
don't forget, we had the coal bombing. No, that was,
yeah.
yeah,
That was about a month or so before,
yeah,
or 2 months before 9/11. But still,
yeah.
had it not been for 9/11, I don't think Bush would have been reelected. It was too contentious, and
Hmm.
unless he had, yeah, Robert says it right there. He wouldn't have gotten a second term. I don't. I've honestly believed that you know, uh, yeah. And Bush was mad because his brother didn't win. But here's
Yep.
the thing: they had, Jeb had been upset that his brother, because Jeb, at being the governor of Florida and he was working himself into a position uh, to run for president, and then all of a sudden, people started hearing George Bush is running for George W. Bush, the George Jr., George the Second, and
Mm-hmm.
the press ran with that, and of course, as we know, the press nominates all of our presidential nominees, except for Donald Trump. Donald Trump's the first one that won it on his own, and he fought hard to get there. And that's why
Want to
Jeb,
welcome Todd Strong. Good to see you, Todd. He's a friend of mine. And Todd,
yeah,
his second term, he defeated John Kerry. He
yeah, but he
defeated
said it was
Gore
still,
in his
yeah,
first term.
but
Yeah.
but still, he was still, but even his second term was better than having Gore at all,
That's true. Could
because
you imagine what would have happened if 9/11 would have happened if Gore was president?
this is what Gore would look like. No movements, stiff, just a wooden president. Yeah, that's what it would have been like. And, we'd have probably, uh, Oh, let's go bomb another aspirin factory.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's just like right now, that whole debacle over there in Afghanistan now, the 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 he was getting so much crap, Biden was, over everything that was going on there, and then those 13 service members were killed and 20 wounded, and
Right.
yeah, I'd hate to think what it would have been like with Gore, but so Biden, what does he do? He launches a drone attack on ISIS-K members. Have you heard the
Yeah.
latest about who it was that was killed?
No.
Some of our own interpreters.
Oh boy.
There was not a second explosion, a secondary explosion that they said was fuel powered. The guy was delivering water. And not
Oh.
only that, we killed several civilians, including the guy's children, because he'd just come home and his kids were running to see him and they got killed.
Oh jeez. Wow.
There was this guy, and this is coming from intelligence agents that knew the situation.
Mm-hmm.
They got in there, and yeah, he was one of our own interpreters, or he was connected to he worked for us at
Right.
one point, and
Mm-hmm.
he was just delivering water up to those that were standing in line, and he'd just come back and that's what they saw him loading was was jugs of water, not jugs of gasoline.
Right.
Yeah, this guy is a disaster of a president. I
Yes,
mean,
he
and he
is. Yes.
he only did that. I'm trying to think who else it was. We had something that well, I think it was the aspirin factory. Was that under that was
I
under
was
Clinton,
under
right?
Clinton.
Clinton? Yeah, Clinton.
Yeah.
He felt he had to do something, so he sent over a missile to uh,
They
he sent
thought it
over a
was
missile
a
to
training facility.
training facility, and yeah, and he killed. It's maybe he should have gone to a couple more of his ROTC classes so he'd know how to actually
Yeah,
identify the
that's right.
target. You know,
Well, and you know, in hindsight, uh, Clinton could have killed Osama bin Laden well
he had him
before
locked in.
9/11.
He had him locked. They had him. They had him targeted, but there was possible collateral damage that they were worried about,
Wow.
and so he wouldn't pull the trigger. It's that's come out in the that came some of that came out in the 9/11 Commission report, which was a whitewash
Right.
job if I
Mm-hmm.
ever saw one, but still, uh, it put some of the blame back where it belonged, and uh, but yeah, this
Yep. We were just talking about that early in the show, Todd. Yep.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. I think, it was very deliberate. It was done. Why do they do drone attacks like the president is watching and give permission to attack? When they do drone attacks like that, the president is watching and has to give permission to attack. Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think you're too far wrong, Todd. I think you're. I've heard, and it's not just a conspiracy theory. I've heard that bantered about in a few places now, and some people I consider to be. Some people I listen to, I'll say, okay, that's getting to be a little on the conspiracy side. Do I need
Yep.
to put on my? But at this point, with that statement right there, I agree 100%, Todd, and I don't feel like I need to go get my aluminum foil hat out. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's common sense. I think everybody knows that, and because who was at the inauguration of the new government in Afghanistan, which happened to be performed on 9/11? The Chinese and the Russians
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
Iran
Mm-hmm.
or Iran, whatever you want to call it.
And I ran
Yeah,
so far away.
that is Joe Biden's new theme song, Iran.
And what was the name of that band?
I have no idea.
Flock of Seagulls.
Okay. Sounds like a bunch of bird crap to me.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
what you
that
seem to
was
have for
back in
brains.
the early 80s, back when I was in college.
Yeah, see, I didn't listen to that crap in the 80s. My kids did, but I didn't care about it. I
You're
you
right,
know,
Todd.
what's that?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
better
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I better stick to real estate drone flying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're destined to be a rock star anytime soon.
Oh.
Well, actually, you probably could, just screech a little more, just use a few power chords, bang on that thing as loud as you can, and
There you go.
nobody'd understand you, and then you probably make a million doing that.
Well, Sam Kinison
Hiding in his
was
flock of seagulls.
absolutely Sam
Uh,
Kinison was absolutely right. He knew how to take care of the homeless problem. Remember when he was on the Letterman show? He talked about people stop
I don't remember it.
sending them money. Don't give them money. They live in their fucking deserts. Ah!
Well,
Ah!
I heard, who was it I was listening to? It was, I think anyways. Oh, I know who it was on your show last night.
Oh,
Chuck talking about those homeless people that,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
you don't go out and, buy them a hamburger, buy them a meal, give them a hamburger, giving them something to eat, but if these guys can stand there and make as much money panhandling, then they can say, would you like fries with that burger? Just as easily.
That's right.
There, and there's no reason for anybody to be homeless right now. Well, there are reasons. I think that you guys. It was said in the chat last night. There's a lot of veterans suffering from mental health issues, and this has to, especially this newest generations of yeah, this newest I mean, I'm in my mid to late 60s, and I got dummies for friends. It's like, actually, I think he's smarter than the other Joe that we all know and care about. But anyways, no, we got a lot of because I'm from a generation that I was raised listening to the war stories. I dealt with uncles and parents that had suffered what they did through the war. I heard, and I was raised that, my parents were both from the Depression era, so I learned I had an aunt. She was so worried about running out of food that she's actually a great aunt. She's my mom's aunt. She had 3 freezers full of food in her house, and she lived
Wow.
in. She lived in after my uncle died. She moved into a mobile home, bought her a mobile home, and lived in over there on just north of about 80th there in Denver, uh,
Oh,
up towards the Northglenn area. You know,
right.
uh,
Not far from
and
where I live.
yeah, there used to be a big trailer park there, a bunch of retired people. I mean, it's
Oh, there's
huge, huge.
still trailer
Yeah,
parks over there. Even on
yeah. Well,
Federal,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. I can't remember what street it was on, but it was about 80th, and it was a very nice place. I mean, it's very well manicured, very nice. But
Yeah.
she ended up living there. But she had when she passed away. They had to go through, and she had 3 freezers full, not counting what she had in the freezer above her ice box, full of food. Because she was
Wow.
scared. She was from that Depression era. All right, Todd.
All right, Todd. Good to see you. Take care.
But
Well, Lloyd,
yeah, we've done an
we've done
hour.
a little over an hour, and
Yep,
this just zipped by.
it
Yep.
did. It did.
Hmm.
And
So, Todd,
Mel,
don't be a stranger. We'll come back next week.
Yeah, come back next week. We would enjoy it. And just for
All right,
those who,
everybody in the chat, thanks for coming. Lloyd, any last words?
I was just going to say that Mel is having a show at 7 o'clock tonight rather than at 6 o'clock when he normally does. This week and next, he said. He texted me earlier.
Okay.
So, anyways, remember what I say, be kind, treat each other better than you would treat yourself. Remember, even wooden dummies like my buddy old Joe here matter.
All right, take care, everybody. God bless you, and catch you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.